Today, let's take a look at replacing the EGR valve on this 2003 Ford Escape with a 3-liter engine. Now you'll see we've got a vacuum line going to the top here. That's real easy to pop off. We've got 2 bolts attaching it to the tube on the intake manifold. And then we've got a nut on the tube connecting it to the exhaust here. Now that's where it gets a little tricky. Now, because we've got the heat coming in here from the exhaust side, quite often that nut might get a little rusted and seized on the tube there. So I'm going to do my best. You can see I'm going to disconnect the vacuum line from the regulator hose. Now I'm going to take my 1/16" end wrench, and I, like many technicians, look at my wrench. It's got some special bends to it here. Don't remember the exact circumstances in which I needed to do that. Actually, it comes in pretty handy to reach the nut on the back of this tube here. So I'll give it a couple good hits, break it loose, and start working it back and forth to get it out. Now if yours isn't so forgiving, be careful. We don't want to twist this and damage the tube. In some cases, I've had to remove the tube from the exhaust side down below, or in many instances as well. We're just going to cut it and go ahead and replace that tube. So, as you can see, I've been relatively fortunate here, and this one is actually working loose. Okay, so once we've got the nut loose on the exhaust pipe there, I'm going to take a 10mm socket in my ratchet, and we've got 2 bolts to remove here that hold the valve to a little pipe that goes in the intake itself. So you can see they come loose pretty easy. Just need to thread them out here. There, now that I've removed my old valve, got the old gasket. It's falling down below here. I want to make sure the gasket surface is good and clean, but we'll set that aside. And now we've got our new valve with the new gasket that came with it. So we'll install that, and hopefully now you can get a little better view of the housing, and we'll see the nut on the tube here. So I'm gonna just kind of start the bolts in the gasket here, get those held into place. Once that's roughly held in place, now I will go over here and I'm going to thread in the tube to the valve loosely before I get too far in here. And then I will go ahead and start these bolts that hold the EGR valve. So hand tighten these bolts holding the EGR valve to the bracket here. And I'll take the ratchet, tighten these down the rest of the way. There, once those are good and tight, I'll take my 1/16" wrench and snug up and tighten down the EGR tube on the back side here. There. Once the bolts are tightened, the tube is tightened, I reinstall the vacuum line coming from the regulator, and we're ready to go. No relearns required, just maybe clear some trouble codes. Hopefully now you understand what it takes to replace the EGR valve on a 2003 Ford Escape with a 3-liter engine.